I want to talk about memory today. I've realised in the last few months, particularly, that my memory is not very good. I've been forgetting my own life. Little bits just here and there. I forget what order it all comes in. It's a funny thing, memory. I don't know if this is just what growing up is. I'm 24 now, and it's almost like my past doesn't matter. Almost. It also makes me feel like I may be losing that part of me. And granted, I don't have... what memories I do have aren't all very good. Some of them are downright awful. But little, nice, good ones sort of peek through every now and then. But I struggle to remember them a lot of the time. And honestly, I think that's why I have so much stuff. I'm not a hoarder. Not exactly, anyway. But I do have an awful lot of crap. And I realised why the other day. My sister asked me to help her sort out her wardrobe. And in it I found just items of clothing that she'd lent me in the past, and they brought back memories to me. I found a dress that she lent me, which I wore on Christmas Eve 2015, when I went with my mum and dad to see It's a Wonderful Life at our local cinema. They went home afterwards and I stayed on to watch the 3D version of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. That was a good day that I did not remember until I saw that dress again. That was a very good day. And it's not just clothes. So far, the only other example I've found is a film that I first watched in 2016. And I watched it the other night, on Valentine's Day of all days, because it's not exactly a Valentine's film, it's a revenge story. It's a German western called Das Finstere Tal, or The Dark Valley. It's a very good film, I recommend it. And I remember because I watched it again, I was remembering the day that I first saw it. It was actually a night. First watched it one night. It was a Saturday night. I remember I stopped it halfway through so I could go look up the soundtrack because it was that bloody good. And I didn't finish watching the film until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't very well that night. I was feeling quite sick. But the next day, I was just thinking about that film because it was just really bloody good. But the next day, me, my mum, and my dad went to church. And afterwards, we went and saw my sister at the hotel restaurant where she worked, and we had a meal. I didn't remember that until I watched that film again, and it all came back. I'm not sure if this is just what memory is like. Like, you do sort of struggle to recall things, and that's one of the reasons why we have so much crap, why people keep things, memorabilia for nostalgia. I'm not sure what I'm feeling is nostalgia, I just feel like it's my memories. I have a painting on my wall that my mum did. It was from a postcard that she painted from. It's just waves on a stormy day with rocks in the foreground, and there was one rock that she painted that with like sea foam around it. And when I was little, it looked like a witch's face. It used to scare the crap out of me. And every time I see that picture now, I remember that fear. I remember being like transfixed by the painting when I was a kid, because I was scared that witch would come and get me. It's on my wall now, is that painting, and my mum touched it up, so the witch's face isn't there anymore. It's covered by sea foam. I was actually quite disappointed because it sort of reminded me of Fears Conquered, that sort of thing, which I like very much. Memories. They're so fickle, and I am slightly scared that I'm losing them. That they are slipping through my fingers all the time. And that brings me to a question I mulled over a few weeks ago when it occurred to me that I was losing my memories of a sort, and that is, people go on all the time about making memories, about going out and doing things. And I have done things in my life. I'm not just a couch potato who sits at my desk all day. At least, not always. But I don't remember most of them until I find some kind of trigger for them. And what happens if I lose that trigger? It's been suggested I write down my days, but that takes a lot of time. And I can think of other things I'd rather be doing, even if I don't remember them. Eventually. I've started to live my life very much in the moment. I do my best not to worry about the future. I don't even really plan for my future because I don't have much of an ambition. Not after one particular memory that I'd rather not talk about. One day maybe, but not today. Because that is something I definitely remember with perfect clarity. Maybe, I don't know. I've lost my train of thought. And see, there it goes. I forget. If I start a long sentence, I forget how I started it, so I don't know where I'm going with it. That's why a lot of the time I end up going on tangents. I don't make much sense because I can't remember what I've said. I'll have to re-listen to this afterwards just to remind me. That's another thing. It's gotten to the point now where I think if I didn't have the same thing for breakfast every day, I would forget what I had for breakfast this morning. It's gluten-free cornflakes, by the way. Didn't taste very good. Didn't put enough milk in. And that was almond milk, I think. I don't remember. See, I don't remember. I don't remember what milk I put in my cereal. For fuck's sake. I do have some nostalgia attached to my books as well. I'm actually very, very picky with books. I only have a few, and honestly they need wheedling out. I need to sort them out and see which ones I actually want to keep. I remember reading Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut, but I don't remember the events surrounding it. I remember I tried writing a screenplay for it and then lost the file. Don't know where it went. Probably died with one of my many laptops. I remember Jacqueline Moriarty's Dreaming of Amelia. That's a good one. I remember it because I borrowed it when I worked at the library in 2011. Or was it 2010? I think it was 2010 to 2011. I remember I worked in the back office with the books for teenagers coming through, and my supervisor would let me borrow them before they went out on the shelves. And I came in one day and saw Dreaming of Amelia. Its pages all messed up, like sort of muddy and stained. And it turned out someone had dropped it in a plant pot just after it had been watered, so it got all messed up. And my supervisor said I could keep it if I wanted. So there we go. That's a good memory, which I have thanks to this book. Secret Garden. The issue I got myself in a charity shop, I think last year. But the first memory I have of it, other than the scary-ass film, by the way, which freaked me the fuck out when I was a kid, was sitting with my back to the side of the fireplace in our house in the Isle of Wight, reading it and wondering if my parents would notice if I didn't come for dinner. They didn't notice. I went without dinner that day. But it was a good book. Still is. I can see so many books on this shelf and only so many memories actually go with them. I remember reading them, I remember what they're about, but I don't remember the circumstances of my life around them. I remember I was lent The Shipping News by Annie Proulx by a social worker when she heard that I was going to go and do my English higher, because that was the book that she covered for her English higher. I read it in a week. A very good book. I only recently found a copy of it for myself in this huge-ass bookshop in Inverness. I've been looking for it for a while, too. Frankenstein I covered in English in college. I didn't actually finish that course, but this book is now full of notes, underlined phrases and things. A very slough of multifarious knowledge, guided by an ardent imagination and childish reasoning. That's one of them. Oh, bloody hell. I forgot I ripped the cover. Memory is weird. I both don't like it and crave it at the same time. And honestly, I don't know if I'm losing my mind, if I'm developing early onset Alzheimer's, or if this is just what memory is supposed to do when you start to get older. If things just slip away. It's a very strange, quite frightening feeling. I have kept journals in the past, but honestly, they're mostly me just complaining about things and wishing for something that I'll never have. Usually love, because, I'm a romantic like that. A depressive romantic, mind. But yeah, memories. Probably have a few attached to my own clothes, but clothes are a weird thing. I feel so nostalgic over them. I keep so many that I never actually wear. I always hope that I'll find the perfect situation in which to wear them and then end up in a t-shirt and jeans again. So that's that. Memory. Never thought I'd been talking about this. I never thought it would be much of an issue. There are a few other triggers that I have for certain memories, but I won't go into them today. I need to dust this shelf. It's another thing is I forget to clean. I see dirty things and I just think, ugh, later. And it never happens. I should write my memories down as they come to me, I suppose. Try and preserve them in some way that makes me so afraid that I'm going to lose them. Don't have to write down everything, as much as I may convince myself I should. That's my problem, is I want to capture every detail when I write things down, even if they're not entirely relevant. I think that might be one of the reasons why I have crushes. So I can just tack them onto a time of my past. I guess that's another reason why I like drawing. Although, looking at the pictures on my wall at the moment, I actually don't really remember a lot of the scenarios in which I did draw them. One of them, particular piece of fan art, I remember very well because it was the first time I drew someone where it actually looked like who I was drawing. And it's probably the most detailed ones I ever did. It took me 8 hours. And I remember I just listened to Lady Gaga on repeat the whole time I was drawing it. Memory. How many more times am I going to say that word? I'd like to tell you more about my memories, but I don't want to bore you. So, that's the thing. Not entirely sure what the point of this is. Maybe to just clarify some things for myself. I don't know. Anyway. Suppose this might help me remember. Who knows?